redevelopment of areas, brown areas. We need to do that also. There are parts in, say, Sentul areas where the old houses, we can demolish them and get new ones up, bigger, higher, more units, and that's what we want to do. KPKT should be given that task, but unfortunately, I find out that urban renewal is not under us. It's under UDA, and UDA is under Ministry of Finance, urban development. Even Prima and SPNB are not under my ministry; they are under Ministry of Finance. But it's okay. We are going in the same direction. But my point is that this ministry should go beyond just normal regulator of the housing industry. We need to look into even what do you call that, labor issue in this country, which basically now sumber manusia yang buat. So of course, with this massive metropolitan, we are creating mega cities. Of course, other things come into play, waste management, again, which is also under my ministry. That's why we need the incinerator in Taman Beringin. We also have a problem with crime. That's why all buildings now must have what they follow the SIPTAT, is it? Can you remember that one? SIPTAT, yeah. Crime reduction,
crime
prevention through environmental design, right? SIPTAT, crime prevention through environmental design. Yeah. So what does that mean? It means that when you build your houses, your township, or public amenities, it must take into consideration crime. So for example, dulu kita buat public toilet, for example, it's dark, it's the back of the building. Women will be sometimes raped there or mugged and all that. So now public toilets and all that too must be seen as, bright. People can see who's going in, going out. So those are the designs, and who's lurking behind the alley. So you have mirrors and whatnot. So those are the areas then. Now, that design is actually being promoted by Jabatan Perancang Bandar dan Desa, JPBD, which is under my ministry. Now I'm trying to ask them to look into beyond just the ordinary functions that they've been doing for the ages now. That's why we're going to do Center of Excellence, which we will launch this on the 15th. Is it 15th? 12?
12.
It's 12th of June. This coming Thursday, where the Center of Excellence, I want the Center of Excellence to be a place where we can incubate ideas based on Malaysian experience on how to transform cities, not necessarily following what the Western world is doing, but incubate local ideas, and the Center of Excellence will be looking into all these ideas and creativity. Initially, we'll put this COE under the jurisdiction of JPPD, but eventually it has to be on its own, independently run by professors, academicians, and volunteers and all that. So they can also give feedback to the government. So I'm very excited about COE. It's going to come in there nanti. We also need to transform the PBT. You have a city, but if the manager is not good enough, then you end up having a lot of problems. So PBT also needs to be transformed, the local government. We have the local Agenda 21, but that's not strong enough. We need to inform them that, like you mentioned just now, this is a time when you have to be open and transparent to your constituents. So what I will do, those PBTs who got 4 stars and 5 stars, I will give them allocation so that their monthly council meetings will be broadcast live through internet. So people will know what they're talking about, whether they're doing their job, and at the same time the councillors will behave themselves. They have to do their homework before they go for. So I told the Prime Minister this is how we should do it, transform the PBT as well, not just in terms of engagement and opening up to the people, but also in terms of managing their finances. A lot of, I would call it hanky-panky, but a lot of weaknesses. I always believe that I only have 4 years because GE14 is the mother or father or grandfather of all battles. So I don't have 40 years, I have 4 years, and we need to hit the ground running. And I'm helped by these young people supporting me. And they know I drive a hard bargain. But yeah, you know, we have to hit the ground running. We've done so much since a year that I've been here. JPP, Transformation PBT. Bomba Bantuan is also another thing that I'm looking at.
It has appeared on our page 1.
Yeah. You know, the funny thing about this bomba, I spoke about it this morning because I had a program with Topa. I realized every time I go to all the states, the Chinese are very keen on joining Bomba Sukarela. In fact, majority of them are Chinese. Then I realized, why is it that way? Then I realized the Chinese, they love uniform service, but they hate to go into like police, army, rela and all that for whatever reason lah. But bomba ni is something that they, you know, they don't carry guns. You're not really penguat kuasa. You don't enforce law. You're actually helping people. So that is one way for me to unite the people. But it's also beneficial to them because they are their own, you know, kedai and all that. So in a way that they're helping themselves. So I'm. That's what there's a lot of them. I think easily about 13,000 of them. You see this ruang kita, I think kita tak faham, Malaysians lah, do not understand. And a mess. So I said, wait, we have bomba. Bomba, when people see bomba, people feel good because they don't take tax from you like uniform of lembaga hasil dalam negeri. They don't go and enforce law like police. They are uniform, but whenever you see them, you feel glad because they are there to help you. So we need this human face. So I told them also, kan setiap kali kita ada bencana, kebakaran, accident ni, the police, bomba will be there, you know, in action. Sampai kita dengan Ketua Pengarah, tell all these cameramen, media apa semua tu, we do a contest. Siapa yang boleh capture that moment where you can, you know, that will, you know, will be able to express what bomba is all about. When maybe you carry a old woman running out of the, you know, collapsing house. I want that moment. But of course bomba busy doing things. So I said, work with the reporters. They are there already. They have got the zoom lens, you know, just. So we're gonna do that, and we'll make sure that we can bring out that humane face of bomba. And I also told my commanders on the ground that when you have, you know, managed to put down the fire, you don't go home yet. You stay back. Jangan cepat-cepat gulung you punya hose and then, you know, and then let the police handle it. It's not fair. Number one, you must give interview ataupun PC. But more importantly, you got to care for those traumatic people. Dah lah hilang rumah kalau anak dia lagi mati kat situ, you know what I mean. So what I did initially, it's a small gesture, but I thought it did fantastically well. I kata all balai bomba seluruh Malaysia must be the one-stop center for fire victims to replace their IC, surat kahwin, surat apa nikah, and all the important documents, birth certificates and all that. Okay, so they don't have to go. Dah lah dia orang baru hilang, you know, terbakar rumah dia, anak mungkin mati, you know, they're very traumatic, and you ask them to go up and down government offices to renew their IC, get their police report and all that. Tak mau. So I kata you all have to get this, open up a counter in every bomba. You know who these people are anyway, yang mangsa ni, they can't. You help them. Small gesture, but I think even have craziest idea than yours. I said, turn the Selangor Golf Club into a people's park. The Selangor Golf Club,
RFGC Komandan.
that would be my dream if I could have that piece of land. But I will be demonized by the royalty, demonized by everybody, the golf fraternity. But here's the thing. I agree with you completely. We do not have that culture, park-going culture. You got the little picnics, and you don't go back home early. You go there and have some time with your friends. There are many parks around around the city, but they are not that friendly. And some of them I can't even imagine why we're spending so much money. In fact, macam Titi Wangsa, yang there's one little stretch of land yang kalau nak pergi parlimen tu kan sebelah kiri tu kan. It's so nicely manicured. But nobody is sitting there. Nobody knows it because there's no parking. There's nowhere you can go. But it's like manicured to the perfection. Spend so much money. Okay. So, yes, we need people to go there, take off their shoes, take off their socks, walk around the grass, and enjoy life. You know, that's what we should do. KLCC is, unfortunately, is private owned, but it's too small. But we need this. Titi Wangsa is a bit too far. You have to drive there just to get there and go through the horrendous traffic jam. That's my problem. So we need to have pockets. Kalau you pergi London, there are small squares, small pockets, you know. And you can actually have it next to a cemetery. There's a cemetery there, and then you just, old cemetery lah.
Cemeteries are not scary.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So my point is, I agree with you. Maybe our lifestyle it will take a bit of time, but we end up spending money on Frisco style restaurants. We spend a coffee sampai RM20, RM16, RM15. And then I see these youngsters flocking into Mama stall, ya Allah. So yes, we need to create that. It gives you a gentler care. But where do you? That's why I'm saying to you just now. When you tear down buildings, you don't have necessarily build them new. Turn it into parks. Have big tall trees and pokok-pokok yang rendang kan. I don't think we need the culture. We need to have that picnic culture. Get your guys, and sit down. You can have your keropok leko and whatnot, but the fact is you want it to be out.
A simple political analysis would show you the clear.
It's a winner.
Clear result. People get stuck in traffic. People get miserable all the time, and they are poor participant in the political discussion. That's why we are too noisy. Everywhere. These are massive. There are many other things that we need to look into. We started with buskers. Okay, we give money, we give platform for them, we encourage them to perform. But there are more to it. We need the soft side of the cities. The cultural thing. Theatre, plays, musical, and it cannot be in that aircon room type kind of activities all the time. Very good question. I think perception overwhelms reality. I think you are pretty safe, but then you will be worried sick. So you end up jogging with very, very worried heart and minds, and end up you having high blood pressure. So I think yes, I think the perception created by society is such that KL is so unsafe, which is not true if you ask me. Statistically speaking, we do have those snatch theft and all that, but looking at the population, we are pretty okay. If you ask me whether or not I would love my children to grow up in KL city center, I may have second thoughts. But to live, but to work is fine, to play is fine, but to live, I might not want my children to be in the city center until such time those areas that we've been talking about taken care of.
traffic, environmental problems, and also to a certain degree crime, and also this the soft side of the city. Other than that, I would love to stay somewhere away from the city, like now in Putrajaya. When you're really away from KL, you have that sentimental feeling about this city. I don't know why. Every time I go away, say 10 days, 1 week, 2 weeks overseas and come back, that feeling of KL is you can't pull it away from me. Cuma masalahnya kita ni, kita so much noise and we forget the big issues. Like you mentioned about the park culture tadi. Kita kalau you tengok dalam website dan juga social media dekat KL ni, it's all about other things,
About other things.
about all other things except your life in KL.
Yeah, yeah,
And when you do complain, when you do talk about it, you complain a lot.
yeah, yeah.
That's all. That's all we do. We complain so much. There are some unsung heroes now dekat KL ni. We went to, I remember that place. Where did we go, Amira? That homeless. Coket dekat Coket. Okay, Coket.
Jalan Tol.
I was so surprised. I met this woman who used to be an addict herself. Decided to quit cold turkey 5 years ago, 6-7 years ago, and decided to dedicate her entire life, in helping drug addicts. And she's operating from a small house, and then she would say no to anyone who wanted help from her. And these are the unsung heroes of KL. Those people who clean up the cities, for example. I went to this, they call it a roll call in the morning, at 5:30 in the morning, subuh, Alam Floras, and they were there. By 7 o'clock, the city was spick and span. But about 7:01, habis balik semua. When people start coming into the city. But if you want to see the best of KL, walk around at 7 o'clock in the morning, at 6:30 in the morning. Not a piece of paper on the street. All these unsung heroes, cleaning up every inch of KL. But by 7:30, when people start coming in, when shops start open up, habis. And they're doing it every day. So these are all unsung heroes. Those people are volunteers, community leaders. Those are unsung heroes. I tell you, when I go and sit down there, it makes it so small. Whatever they're doing is much, much more meaningful than most of us in giving meaning to the city, giving back to the city. The other thing is this. I think not many people are giving back to the city. They grew up here, they make money here, but how many of them are really, truly giving back to the city? Like alumni, how much of them, how many of these tycoons are willing to spend money and coming up with all these small parks that I told you? Or they have old buildings in the city, tear them down and build green spaces rather than building another condominium or another high-rise towers. How many people are giving back to the city that they grew up in and gave so much to them and made them super rich? How many? I don't know. I don't see it. Even kita nak buat program punya susah nak dapatkan funding. Seriously. I mean, most of the NGOs are coming back to us. I said, look, there's so many people, rich people in this city. Why are you coming to me? They say they just can't get funding. These other NGOs are doing a lot of community services in KL. They're not getting funding. So that means people are not spending. You're driving, you have like 6-7 cars at home. But if people want to ask for 500 ringgit or 1,000 ringgit, you berkira sangat. But this is your city, you make your money here. Very interesting you asked that, because I spoke to Datuk Sri Mukris about this issue, even Sungai Petani and all that. There are mixed views. Some of them want to have a laid-back life. They want it to be that way. They do not want Alor Star or even Sungai Petani to grow big and very impersonal. They want it to be that way so that people know each other and all that. I'm not too worried about whether the size is big or not. Of course, the gauge is still whether if you stay there, you feel happy or not. Look at Iskandar, for example. Iskandar, Malaysia, Johor. It's growing by leaps and bounds. So huge now. Are the people happy? Are they being displaced? So there are some other side effects of massive transformation of urban areas. Iskandar, Malaysia now, there are rumblings on the ground, as you know. People are being not able to afford houses. Now it's like 2 million is a standard house, and then they have lost that their connection to their past. Now it's a big concrete jungle everywhere. So there is a social cost to it. So coming back to you, even Mukris was saying, there are certain areas of Kedah that needs to remain the way they are. For one simple reason, because I think the people are like it that way. They want simple life. Surau, Pekan Rabu, mamak shop. It's actually very interesting. And my wife is Kedahan. She's also from Alustar. So when we go down there, it's right back. It's really, I don't know whether you want to lose that. Perhaps
You can continue to
Kulim
grow.
Bandar Baru, you should make it big and huge, but